A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, Schopenhauer wrote, distilling a truth that resonates through the lives of history's greatest minds. From the reclusive poet Emily Dickinson to the isolated genius of Nikola Tesla, the pattern is unmistakable. Those who dwell in the realms of deep thought often retreat from the noise of the crowd. Schopenhauer, the 19th century philosopher whose work bridged Eastern asceticism and Western pessimism, argued that intelligence and social life are fundamentally at odds. To him, society was a carnival of trivialities, a place where conformity stifles creativity and superficiality drowns out substance. For the intellectually gifted, solitude is not a prison, but a sanctuary, a space where the mind can roam unchained by the petty demands of social pretense. Schopenhauer's philosophy is rooted in a stark view of human existence. He saw life as a pendulum swinging between pain and boredom, driven by an insatiable will to live that binds humanity to suffering. Intelligent individuals, he argued, are uniquely cursed and blessed with the ability to perceive this futility, while others distract themselves with gossip, status, and fleeting pleasures. The intelligent mind grapples with existential truths. This awareness isolates them. The more a man has in himself, Schopenhauer noted, the less he will want from others. Society, in his view, is a mirror reflecting mediocrity. It rewards conformity, discourages originality, and punishes those who question its norms. The genius, therefore, faces a dilemma: participate in the charade and suffocate, or withdraw and preserve their clarity. Schopenhauer chose the latter, living alone with a poodle named Atma, finding companionship not in people, but in books and ideas. His life became a manifesto for the belief that solitude is the price and privilege of deep thinking. Friedrich Nietzsche, though critical of Schopenhauer's pessimism, echoed his disdain for the herd mentality. Society, Nietzsche argued, is a machine that grinds individuality into dust. It demands obedience to moral fashions and punishes those who dare to think beyond its boundaries. For the intellectually gifted, social engagement becomes a negotiation with compromise. To care deeply about social life is to surrender to what Nietzsche called the tyranny of the majority, a force that homogenizes thought and dilutes truth. The intelligent individual rejects the transactional nature of human interaction, the shallow exchanges of flattery and gossip, not out of malice, but out of a hunger for authenticity. Schopenhauer termed this intellectual isolation, a state where the mind, free from societal static, engages with timeless questions. It is here, in the quiet corners of solitude, that Newton formulated the laws of motion, Dickinson penned her enigmatic verses, and Tesla envisioned the alternating current. Schopenhauer's reverence for solitude was not born in a vacuum. His philosophy drew deeply from Stoic and Buddhist traditions, both of which championed detachment as a path to peace. The Stoics, like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, taught that tranquility lies in focusing on what one can control, the inner world, while accepting external chaos. Similarly, Buddhism's Four Noble Truths diagnose suffering as attachment to desire, prescribing renunciation as the cure. For the intellectually gifted, these philosophies offer a framework to reframe solitude not as loneliness, but liberation. Emily Dickinson, who spent decades in self-imposed seclusion, embodied this. Her poems, rich with existential inquiry, suggest she found profound companionship in her own mind. The soul selects her own society, she wrote, then shuts the door Schopenhauer would have recognized in her a kindred spirit, one who traded the cacophony of social life for the silent dialogue of thought. Society often conflates solitude with loneliness, but Schopenhauer drew a stark distinction. Loneliness is the pain of unwanted isolation. Solitude is the joy of chosen aloneness. The intelligent person does not endure solitude, they curate it. Isaac Newton, during his Annus Mirabilis of 1666, retreated to his countryside home to escape the plague. In that isolation, he revolutionized mathematics and physics. His loneliness, if he felt any, was eclipsed by the freedom to think without interruption. This calculus, loneliness versus freedom, lies at the heart of intellectual suffering. Schopenhauer acknowledged the ache of being misunderstood, yet he argued that the alternative, suppressing one's nature to fit in, is a far greater torment. Ordinary people merely think how they shall spend their time, he wrote. A man of talent tries to use it. The genius mindset is not a rejection of humanity, but a prioritization of purpose over pretense. In the digital age, Schopenhauer's insights resonate with eerie prescience. Social media, with its endless scroll of curated lives, amplifies society's noise. It promises connection, but delivers fragmentation. A hall of mirrors, where validation is quantified in likes and followers. For the intelligent mind, this landscape is particularly suffocating. The constant buzz of notifications interrupts deep work. The pressure to perform authentically breeds existential fatigue. Yet, Schopenhauer might argue, the solution remains unchanged: detachment. Just as Nikola Tesla shunned romantic relationships to devote himself to invention, I do not think you can name many great inventions made by married men. The modern intellectual must guard their attention ruthlessly. Social media detachment is not misanthropy, but self-preservation, a way to reclaim the mental space necessary for innovation. History's geniuses form a procession of solitary figures. Emily Dickinson, who wrote 1,800 poems in near-total seclusion, found in her family's Amherst home a universe vast enough to explore the human soul. Nikola Tesla, whose inventions electrified the world, claimed his greatest ideas came during long, solitary walks. Isaac Newton, whose Principia Mathematica laid the groundwork for classical mechanics, was described as so immersed in his studies that he often forgot to eat. These lives illustrate Schopenhauer's thesis. Intellectual freedom requires social detachment. The genius does not hate humanity. They simply find more compelling company in the mysteries of existence. As Schopenhauer quipped, a high degree of intellect tends to make a man unsocial. To embrace solitude is to accept a bargain. The intellectually gifted trade the warmth of communal belonging for the clarity of unfettered thought. They navigate a world that often labels them aloof, eccentric, or arrogant. Yet, in this trade lies their power. Schopenhauer, echoing Buddhist teachings on impermanence, saw social bonds as transient, distractions from the eternal verities of art, philosophy, and science. The modern world, with its cult of extroversion, may never fully understand this choice, but perhaps it does not need to. The legacy of Schopenhauer and the Dickinsons, Teslas, and Newtons reminds us that progress is often born in silence and truth in solitude. As the man himself wrote, we forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people. For those unwilling to pay this price, the solitary path remains open, a road less traveled, lit by the cold, brilliant stars of intellectual freedom. In the end, Schopenhauer's philosophy is not a condemnation of society, but a clarion call to those who hear a different drumbeat. To care little for social life is not a flaw, but a fidelity to the self, to truth, and to the unyielding pursuit of what lies beyond the noise.